question coming from Hachizenki. Modern Lange's history is from what, 1992, he's asking? It's from 1990 when they officially reconstituted the company and started developing calibers. And then in 1994, I want to say it was like a castle in Dresden, they introduced the first 4 model lines. And I want to say it was like the Arcade, the Lange 1, Pour le Mérite, Tourbillon, and I don't know, Saxonia, I want to say. So that's when it was reconstituted. To be perfectly precise, the true predecessor company that is legally and by continuum the original A Lange und Söhne would be the company we today call Glasuda Original. They were A Lange und Söhne, and they were one of many brands folded into the GUB. If you look at your GO caliber, it still says GUB on the plate. So by consent, A Lange und Söhne was reconstituted by the consent of the GUB in 1990.
Yeah, factories are right next to each other too, aren't they?
Yeah.
I heard they pretty much reach outside one window into the next one.
They're very close on many levels. They come from the same heritage, and
the movements are very similar too. Just the construction of the movements. Mm-hmm. You see the similarities. They're different. Don't get me wrong, but you can see that the design similarities are evident.
And of course, Walter Lange and Gunter Blumlein helped to reconstitute A Lange und Söhne. Of course, Walter Lange, one of the few surviving members of the pre-collectivized Lange family, still practicing, and obviously he's semi-retired now, but he was important in 1990 in restoring the line and bringing credibility to it. Gunter Blumlein was an executive with a company called Les Manufactures Horlogères, which owned JLC and owned IWC and became a stakeholder in Lange. So he brought over a lot of engineering know-how from JLC, and together they reconstituted Lange.
Lange is just, the finishes, everything about them, they're stunning watches. And the performance is amazing in them. I absolutely love them.
So we have a question coming from Ryan Clark. He's asking, other than Omega, the Rolex calibers, and the usual suspect from ETAs, what is a robust three-hand mechanical movement that can take rough wear in a sports watch?
I have always been a fan of a 2824. You know, I've always been a fan of that movement. It's thicker than a 2892. It's more durable. It's harder to wind. It's one way you can tell what it is. They're very serviceable, but it's a very, very durable movement. You don't see them used a lot anymore because of the thickness of the movement.
I would say there are quite a few Seiko calibers that definitely deserve a shout out in that respect. They're not something that we see too often here, but they are robust and well engineered in their own right. Also important to note that realistically, the JLC 975 Auto Tractor, which kind of became the basis for every modern automatic JLC, that's a very robust movement, and it was built with the lessons learned from the dalliance with IWC in the 90s. Everything that broke, they went back and they rebuilt twice as strong. So I would say the 975. I would also say, is it fair to say the Soprod A10?
Yeah, the Soprod, it's not a bad movement, not a bad movement to service either. And that's how I look at it. I look at watches differently than a lot of other people do, not just for durability, but serviceability. And people ask me all the time, the same thing. And I look at a watch and when I pick one up, how ugly is it to service? How easy it is to service?
And I would also say, it's probably worth giving a shout out to anything that's very heavily based on either a 7750 or a 6497. And they're out there, movements from the likes of Habring and Nomos that have taken the pattern of drivetrains and reproduced them.
Yeah, the A05 used in the Panerais, the three-hand, are basically a 7750 without the chronograph. Very, very durable. Very durable. Chopard uses it as well as in the millimeters. Also, the whole family of spring drive calibers, very robust. I realize they do kind of straddle a line between the worlds of mechanical horology and quartz, but in terms of how they're built, they are well placed in everything from like an SBGA, I want to say like 029 dive watch, right up to the likes of the 8-day Power Reserve Grand Seiko that just came out this year at Basel, and the likes of Crador too. So broad applications, but a tough movement fundamentally.